Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my picks for the top 10 most overrated vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. The vehicles on this list are largely going to be overrated by the community, whether that being the community that really likes the vehicle or just the community in general. These vehicles have too much hype behind them for what they actually deliver to the average player who's not just a super fan of whatever the vehicle itself is. If you enjoy it, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike, subscribe to the channel. If you guys are new, we're going for 300k this year. Let's go ahead and get started with number 10. Starting off with number 10, we have the Karin Armored Kuruma coming in at $525,000 to $698,250. Now don't get me wrong, the Armored Kuruma is not a bad vehicle generally, however it is definitely pretty overrated. Now the reason that it's overrated is because people act like this is God's gift to humanity in GTA Online. If I ever make a video on the best armored vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online and I don't include the Armored Kuruma, the comments are just full of people saying, where's the Armored Kuruma? And the problem is the vehicle is not armored, it's bullet resistant. Almost bulletproof, I would say. The only real reason for using the Armored Kuruma is against NPCs, and even NPCs can actually outmatch the Armored Kuruma after sustained gunfire. For just a little while, this thing will start smoking. Now the players inside of it until then are pretty much 100% safe. It's very rare to actually get taken out by NPCs while inside of this car. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a great vehicle, because for free mode it is completely useless. It's only good against NPCs, and even then it's not good against all NPCs all the time. Now I will say the Armored Kuruma is pretty quick in a straight line as well. It is all-wheel drive, so it gets that good launch, but the handling of this vehicle is also completely terrible. The back end has a very weird handling balance to it, and if you start oversteering this thing, best believe that back end is going to be coming around on you and you're going to be completely spinning out. It's very unfortunate. Overall, I'd say the Armored Kuruma is still a good car. It's still worth having. It is just overrated by the community, it seems like. That's all I really have to say about number 10 for the Armored Kuruma. Let's talk about number 9. Now for number 9, I actually have multiple vehicles, and the vehicles that we're talking about here are Imani Tech vehicles that do not have armor plating upgrades. Now, the missile lock-on jammer that you can get with Imani Tech is a great upgrade. However, if you can still be taken out in one explosive, it kind of defeats the entire purpose of having the missile lock-on jammer in the first place. Because yes, you cannot get locked onto, but you can still get taken out pretty easily. Now, at least you won't feel cheated out of it if you do get taken out, because the player either got really lucky or they have a lot of skill. However, it is just a little bit annoying because typically these Imani Tech vehicles will cost an arm and a leg, $400,000 for the missile lock-on jammer, just to find out they actually don't even have an armor plating upgrade, meaning that they can't even take more than one RPG or one homing missile, which really sucks. You definitely do not want these. There's quite a list of these things that are in the game now. The brand new Baller STD is one of them. Things like the Maibatsu Monstrosity, the Pinaud Le Carouse. None of those vehicles have armor plating upgrades, but they all do have Imani Tech. So Imani Tech in some cases is a little bit overrated. Not all of them, that's for sure. Obviously there's a lot of great Imani Tech vehicles in the game, but some of them without the armor plating upgrades, those ones are definitely a little bit overrated. Next up at number 8, we have the relatively new Declassy Impaler LX coming in at $1,465,000. Now, when I made my initial review of this car, I didn't really like it. I was not that impressed, and I felt like, why did they give us yet another 80s square giant American land yacht when we already have 15 cars in the game that look nearly identical to this one? Now, when I said this, I was met with some pretty harsh criticism in my comment section, and I felt like it was unjustified because I wasn't lying about the car. I was just telling the people how the car behaved. It's not that good. It looks like a lot of other cars in the game. It's a little overpriced for what you're getting. And I got absolutely destroyed in the comment section. It was brutal. I get that people like a car. I like cars in GTA as well, believe it or not, but I'm not delusional when it comes to the vehicles that I like. I love the Adder. It's my favorite car in the game. Just because it's my favorite car doesn't mean that I won't trash it. Yeah, it doesn't have a spoiler option. That's garbage. It can't really go around a corner very well. That's garbage. It's pretty quick in a straight line. That's cool. I like the look of it. That's cool. It doesn't have much customization. That sucks. It's still my favorite car. You can acknowledge that there are things that you do not like about a vehicle while still liking the vehicle. But I definitely feel like this thing is overrated. I don't really know why we got this in the game. A lot of people really like it, but I feel like they're just coping that it's a good car. Yeah, it's cool if that's your style of car, I guess, but it's just generally not that good of a vehicle. And I would say it is pretty overrated, especially by the people that really, really like it, apparently. Next up at number 7, we have a bit of a sleeper pick here. This is the TM02 Khanjali. And it's a tank, and it can output a lot of damage, and it costs a lot of money. $2.9 million if you have the trade price, and up to about $3,850,000 if you don't have the trade price. Obviously, it's a tank. It's that part of it is cool. However, similarly to the Rhino tank, it does not do well against police and small arms fire, and especially explosives and stuff like that. By no means is this thing the worst vehicle ever. It's just a little bit overrated. People act like you get into this and you're invincible and you will not get destroyed by anything, and that just is not the case. People act like oppressors don't exist. People act like jets and helicopters don't exist that have a huge advantage over the Khanjali. It can only aim so high up, and helicopters can look pretty far down, and so can jets. Obviously oppressors as well. The Khanjali is not a bad vehicle. It just gets overrated by the community a lot. It does take a good amount of damage. It can take about 8 RPGs or 8 homing missiles, but with sustained small arms fire and RPGs and homing missiles coming in occasionally and stuff like that, a Khanjali will not last more than 10 minutes out in free mode. I almost guarantee it, unless you're playing against literally level 1s that have nothing except for those default pistols. Then you can probably last about 15, maybe 20 minutes in this thing before the police take you out. But overall, the Khanjali just is not this god mode vehicle that some people seem to think that it actually is. That's it for the Khanjali. Don't hate it, but just a little bit overrated. Next up, number 6, we got the Bravado Gauntlet Hellfire coming in at $745,000. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a super fun vehicle. It's really awesome. It's definitely one of the best vehicles to have fun in Grand Theft Auto Online. But people think this is one of the best muscle cars to use while they're racing in the muscle car category. And it's not very good because obviously, as we all should probably know by now, the handling is completely non-existent on the Hellfire, which is, I'll argue, what makes it kind of fun. It's relatively fast in a straight line, but corners exist, and in racing, those are going to be a huge problem for the Gauntlet Hellfire. A car that is much slower in acceleration, but has good handling and good brakes, can absolutely destroy the Gauntlet Hellfire on any circuit that has some corners on it. Definitely a fun car, definitely got some good customization, great price. All of that stuff is really good, but it is just not a very fast car for racing. People act like it is the top dog, and it just simply is not. Next up at number 5, we have the Dink Adjuster Classic coming in at $790,000. Now, I get that it's a Supra and that it has 10 million horsepower, and it's the reason that Bugatti has footage of the Chiron going 300 miles per hour in real life. The Supra is not good in GTA Online. It is really, really bad. And it has engine resistance, which is a lot of the cause for why it is so bad. Engine resistance, if you don't know what it is, basically makes a car a lot slower than it should be. The shift points are way later than they should be, and it basically nerfs the acceleration and the top speed. It's like the car is hitting the rev limiter without hitting the rev limiter, so it just can't accelerate anymore, and then finally it will shift, and it just causes this thing to be really, really slow. Now, Rockstar allegedly kind of almost sort of fixed this, but they totally didn't at the same time because it is still slow as piss. It's got some good customization, I will give it that, but in GTA Online, the Supra is just not what it should be, in all honesty. Not that it should actually have 10 million horsepower or anything of that sort, but it should just be a little bit quicker and just generally a little bit nicer to drive. The engine resistance is definitely a huge problem with this vehicle. I would argue really the only problem with this vehicle. Next up, number 4, we have the Karen Calico GTF coming in at $1,496,250 to $1,995,000 if you don't have the trade price. This thing is a little bit on the higher end of the price spectrum as far as the Tuners DLC cars go, and it's not really for a good reason. It's pretty fast in a straight line, it's got all-wheel drive, so it does get a really good launch, but this vehicle is one of the worst understeering vehicles in the entire game. That is completely horrible. Because for $2 million, you should definitely be able to turn, especially with a car that goes this fast in a straight line. Being able to turn is kind of a necessity, and the Calico GTF is one of the worst handling cars I've ever experienced in Grand Theft Auto Online. I want to like this thing, and I know a lot of the community likes this. They're going to say, oh bro, it's a skill issue, but it's not, bro. This thing's, it's just not a good car. It's just not a good car in the fact that it can't turn. It's fast in a straight line. If you want to use it in a straight line, go right ahead. But this thing just cannot turn, man. It just can't. And it's very unfortunate, but that is just the truth. The Calico GTF has some of the worst turning abilities in GTA Online, especially at its price point. It's a cool car. It's got a lot of customization, but yeah, it really cannot turn. And Calico tards love to tell you about how good the Calico GTF is in every comment section ever. They'll be talking about, you know, Calico GTF superiority. This shit is not that good, bro. And honestly, there's probably quite a few cars that are as fast as the Calico GTF in a straight line now. They're just not all-wheel drive. So if you don't want to be a bandwagoner, I would say avoid the Calico GTF. Next up at number 3, we have the Pegasi Tesseract coming in at $2,825,000. You guys probably knew this was coming because I hate the Tesseract. But beyond that, it's not even just that I hate the Tesseract. It's the people that love the Tesseract that keep trying to tell me and cope that this thing is not garbage. I just talked about this vehicle in my top 10 most disappointing vehicles list. And people were like, bro, it's a skill issue, you can't try, Tesseract is really good. Oh, and bro, and catch-up doesn't affect the Tesseract in races, so it's good. It doesn't matter if you can't go around a corner. This thing is super quick in a straight line. It's electric. It's got to be super fast in a straight line, but it can't go around a 1-degree corner without losing all of its grip and flying off into a building. It's also really futuristic looking, which is a good thing, I guess, depending on your personal taste. But it's not my thing personally. I kind of consider this to be like a Fortnite car. Like it's bright colors and whoa and Fortnite. Like, I don't know. The Pegasi Tesseract just is not for me, I guess. But the Tesseract tards, they are coping so hard about the handling. They are trying to cope and say that it's, bro, it's a skill issue. Oh, if you slow down, if you brake for corner, it is garbage. It is so garbage, and I don't want to hear it anymore, and I'm sick of it. I'm sure they're going to be all in the comments on this video, so get ready for that. Make sure you go down there with some popcorn. Leave a like while you're down there, by the way. But that's it for the Tesseract. I'm done talking about it. Let's talk about number 2. And you knew that if the Tesseract is on the list, the X80 Proto is going to be either ahead of it or behind it, and on this list, it's ahead. $2,700,000 for this trash-ass vehicle. This vehicle has different downforce depending on the direction you're facing on the map. I pretty much don't even need to say anything more because that is so broken. It also has basically no customization, but I will continue to trash it because it feels like trashing the X80 Proto is pretty much my job. It basically has no customization and the performance is trash, even at the time of release, but by today's standards, this thing is beyond garbage. It is so trash. It's in the landfill. It's in the junkyard. It is so god-awful. The Grotti X80 Proto is a shit-ass vehicle. And somehow, mouth breathers like this guy think it is actually the fastest supercar in the game. I'm not going to trash this guy too much, but he's very clearly mistaken because he thinks that this is actually one of the best supercars to stunt race with. I would love to add this guy and get gameplay of me just thrashing him in all of the top 40 fastest supercars in the game. The X80 is so trash. It's so bad. It's so bad. A lot of people think this thing's good because it is one of the vehicles that are offered as a default vehicle on stunt racetracks, and everybody's like, whoa, futuristic car, man, cool, like, let's pick this. And then they get thrashed by an RE7B or a Tylarious or an ETR1 for that matter. The X80 is a terrible vehicle. It is so god-awful. Please do not buy one. It is a huge mistake. And at number 1, it's been a while since I've talked about these people. This is the LF22 Starling, coming in at $2,750,000 if you have the trade price, to about $3,657,000 if you don't have the trade price. Starling nerds are the worst people in Grand Theft Auto Online in the community, right behind tryhards. They're basically tryhards just with this thing instead of a Mark II, and they love nothing more than telling you at every single opportunity given, that the Starling is better than whatever you like. You could be talking about something as simple as a Lampadaddy Felon that you stole off of the street and just be like, you know, I kind of like this car. This car's pretty good. The Starling is better. It would destroy that thing in a dogfight. It wouldn't even have a like, it's so irrational. Starling people are the most irrational people in the GTA community, next to the guys that blow themselves up so that you don't get the kill. Crazy how much Starling people are nerds. They are the biggest nerds ever. Literally, the ranking is EWO kids, like the kids that throw a sticky bomb at the ground and blow themselves up so that you don't kill them. They are like first place, biggest nerds of all time. And then Starling people are like just the aerial equivalent of those people. I get that the Starling has some advantages over all of the other planes in the game for dogfighting. That's great. Good for you. Here's your medal. Have a cookie, sweetie. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm sick of hearing these Starling people talk. They are the biggest nerds of all time. They overrate the Starling to the point where it's just like, I hate the Starling. I refuse to fly the Starling because I am so sick of hearing about how good the Starling is. It's one of those things, like, I'm just done with it, man. And they overrate that thing. Like, yes, it is a good dogfighter, but other than that, it is a trash ass plane. I can think of probably 20 reasons why an F-160 Raju is a better plane to buy than the Starling. I can think of a bunch of reasons why the Hydra is a better plane to buy than the Starling. Yeah, the Starling will kill both of them in a dogfight, probably, but that's not the entire reason you buy a jet. That is not the entire reason. You could buy a jet to do headhunter. You want stealth mode? Well, the Raju's got it. You want a really, really fast, hard accelerating plane? The Raju's got it. You want handling upgrades on your plane as well, and you don't want an intermittent boost? The Raju. Whatever you want to do, there are reasons to not buy the Starling and to buy a different jet, contrary to what these Starling nerds will tell you. Anyway, guys, that is it for my picks for the top 10 most overrated vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. Let me know what you thought of my list in the comments down below. I'm sure all the people that I've insulted in this video have already probably commented, but the rest of you guys can let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. There's going to be a lot of cope in the comments on this video, guys, so please go and check that out. If you want to drown out some of the cope and let me know that you made it right to the end of the video, comment a 7 down below in the comment section. I also just want to say before the video ends that this is all in good fun. I don't actually dislike any of these people. Like, sometimes the Starling comments like really do get annoying, and that is definitely super annoying, but beyond that, everything else is pretty much a joke. Like, the communities of these vehicles and planes and whatnot, they do definitely tend to overrate them, but that is something that people just tend to do with whatever their favorite vehicles are. So I can't really hate too much. It is mostly just a joke, this whole thing. So just take this with a grain of salt. I thought I'd put this in at the end of the video just in case anybody was like super offended, you know what I'm saying? So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, dislike if you didn't, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Peace.